Dr. Jenny Alexander, an associate professor of art history at Warwick University, joins us now live from Nottingham in the UK. Thanks so much for speaking to us. You know, President Macron has promised to rebuild Notre Dame Cathedral within 5 years. Now, some people are saying that is way too overly optimistic. What do you think?
Well, it can be done. What usually holds up these great programs is shortage of money. And it sounds like that's going to be not a problem here with these huge donations coming in from industry and private individuals. And that's before ordinary people have started dipping in their pockets to find some money for this. So it could be done. The main thing is to ensure that all the checks have been made before anything starts to happen. You know, checking that the stained glass is okay, seeing what the top of the walls looks like, seeing how much damage is going to need to be repaired before starting on this huge project. But it could be done. They did it in the Middle Ages.
They did it in the middle. That's good. It's good to hear your optimism, though. But I mean, what do you think, though, the reconstruction? I mean, will they have to really consider now how arguably poorly some of the reconstruction work prior to this fire was actually done? Do you think the whole thing now will be re-examined on how a historical structure like Notre Dame is treated and rebuilt, as well as others now around France?
Yeah, this is a vital question. Attention's obviously going to be focused on what's happened in the recent past. But Notre Dame was really lucky because in the 19th century, when it was in a poor condition, they had an inspired architect called Eugène Viollet-le-Duc. And he was a great medievalist. He studied medieval buildings. He knew how they went together. And when he worked at Notre Dame, he did some really high quality work. So the spire was his. He based it on what he found in the building and said, this is how it should be. But he's thrown down a challenge for us. Should we recreate a 19th century version of a medieval spire? Or should we do something really bold and design one for the 21st century, which would act as both as a memorial to what's happened, but also as a commemoration of the past and hope for the future? But yeah, it's sensitive. What
is your personal opinion on that? It's exactly what I wanted to ask you next. You brought up the spire, obviously. Now there's like an international competition being held to redesign it. How carefully should that really be considered before you get too modern or too inventive? You know, if saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The original design obviously worked. Do you think it's a good idea, though, to give it a modern twist, if possible?
Well, let's think in the way that the medieval masons did. And they built modern. What they were building at their time was cutting edge. So we would be working in the spirit of the medieval masons if we were to design something of our era. I mean, it's going to take terrific vision on the part of sculptors, engineers, architects. But I think an international competition to design something suitable would be very, very interesting.
Very interesting. Can you tell us, where have you seen that work before? The concept of putting a modern addition onto such an old traditional structure. I've seen it in Berlin. Some people argue whether or not it actually looks good or not, with the church on Kudamm, for example. Where have you seen good examples or not good examples?
Yeah, it's easier to find the ones that don't quite work, because usually it's a terrible compromise between what was intended and what finally goes through the endless committees that have a view on all of these things. It is difficult, and you've put me on the spot asking for a good example. I can give you plenty of medieval ones where the Masons just said, right, we're going to do something new and of now. That's much easier. But yeah, I'd need to come back to you, or in the words of your late President Reagan, I need notice of that question.
Okay, Dr. Jenny Alexander, thanks so much for joining us there from Nottingham in the UK.